Hello and welcome to another video on navigating the Windows environment with a screen reader. Today we're going to focus on how to adjust the system volume in Windows settings. Please remember that we are using JAWS for Windows as our screen reader for these videos right now, but it's okay if you use any other screen reader or no screen reader at all, because all of the processes and options we're going to be using are Windows-based options and processes. So there's no need to worry about whether they will work with your particular choice of screen reader. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to take a look at the volume area of the notification section of the taskbar, which is otherwise known as the system tray. As we learned in previous videos, to get to this area, we're going to press Windows plus the letter B, Bravo. So I'm going to do that now.
Windows B taskbar. Show hidden icons button to activate. Press spacebar.
I'm going to press my right arrow to locate my volume section, and I'm going to do that now.
OneDrive vid be backed up and sync privacy microphone and use by Camtasia network WCBVI data in volume echo cancelling speakerphone left parent Lenovo T27HV 30 right parent 50% button to activate. Press spacebar.
So I got a couple of pieces of good information. It said volume. It said I'm on echo canceling speakerphone Lenovo, which is the name it gave my monitor. That's where my output device is. That's where my sound output is coming. It also said I'm at 50% volume for my system, which is also what I want. If I wanted to adjust that, I would open this area by pressing Enter or spacebar, whichever one.
Enter. Quick settings. Mute volume button off. 2 of 2. To activate, press spacebar.
What this does is opens the Windows quick settings and places system focus right away in the volume area. The advantage to this is that you don't have to, if you open the whole Windows quick settings area, you don't have to do too much navigating to volume. It's just one way of getting here. So right now, my focus is on mute volume button. I want to very quickly say do not press enter or space here because you do not want to mute your volume. That will obviously make your screen reader stop talking. Well, it'll keep talking, but you won't be able to hear it. And that will be very confusing for you. So we're just going to leave that alone. And I also want to tell you that when you navigate to this quick settings this way, your screen reader doesn't tell you, or you might not be aware, that you're sort of in a list. The list you're in, you're on the second section of a list, and there are more than one area of this volume section of this list. So the reason that's important is because it plays into what keys we're using to adjust our volume and what keys we're using to navigate this area. So right now I'm focused on the volume button to mute, and I want to get off of that. I don't need to hit up or down. What I want to do is I want to hit tab. So I'm going to press tab to go to the volume slider.
Sound output left right slider 50%. To increase or decrease, use the arrow keys.
It says left right slider, which kind of gives you a clue to use your left and right arrow keys to adjust the volume. But if you didn't catch that, or if you're not familiar, you might think, oh, up down arrows to adjust volume, which obviously is a good thought. I mean, it's not illogical, but it says it's a left right slider, so we're going to use our left and right arrow keys to adjust the volume. So if I want to turn my volume up, I'm going to use my right arrow. If I tap it,
51%, 52%.
It goes up incrementally by 1 percentage point. If I hold it for like a split second and release it,
64%.
It'll kind of go up by a larger increment. And I can adjust it incrementally from there. I can hold it down again.
78, 80%.
Obviously, to go down, I'm going to press left and I'm going to hold that down for a second.
57 per 56 per 56 55% 50%.
Okay, now I'm at 50% again. Now I'm feeling good about that. There is one more area of our volumes of our volume list item of our volume section here, and I'm going to press Tab to go there.
Select the sound output button to activate. Press space bar.
This is where the user would go if, for example, you have a speaker hooked up and the sound isn't going through your speaker. It's coming through another sound source like your monitor or somewhere else, and you want it to go through your speaker. This is where you would select your sound source. There are other areas of this dialog also that we'll talk about in another video, but it's kind of a bigger dialog and I don't kind of want to tack this onto the volume adjustment right now. So I'm going to press a Shift Tab to go back to my volume slider.
Sound output left right slider 50%. To increase or decrease, use the arrow keys.
And I'm there. I mentioned that I was located in a list, and I'm going to show you what happens if I press my up arrow or down arrow to kind of go within this list. There's only 2 items in this list. So I'm going to press the up arrow.
50%. Brightness left right slider 72%. 1 of 2. To increase or decrease, use the arrow keys.
So it said brightness 72. It also said 1 of 2. That lets me know that I am in this brightness slider, and it's the first item in a list of 2 items, and the second item is volume. So there are no other sections of this list item to navigate to with my tab bar. If I press tab,
battery button to activate, press space bar.
I kind of get out of that list and I don't need to. So I'm going to press Shift Tab to go back.
Brightness left right slider 72%. 1 of 2. To increase or decrease, use the arrow keys.
Now if I want to go back to volume, I would press the down arrow.
72%. Mute volume button off 2 of 2. To activate, press space bar.
Now I'm in that volume area again, and it's easy enough to know to press the tab to navigate to the different sections of this volume item.
Sound output left right slider 50%. Select the sound output button to activate, press space bar.
And obviously, if I'm lost and I don't know where I am and I get confused in this dialog, I can always press escape.
Escape.
And then, because my focus is still going to remain where I left it in that system tray or notification area of my taskbar, just press your space bar.
Enter quick settings. Select the sound output button to activate, press space bar. Y-5 button on 1 of 12. To activate, press space bar. Mute volume button off 2 of 2. To activate, press space bar.
It gives you a lot of information before that mute button, but basically you always will have focus on that mute button no matter what your screen reader says. It might try to read some other things, but really that is where your focus will always be. And then you would always just press that tab.
Sound output left right slider 50%. To increase or decrease, use the arrow keys.
And end up in that slider. And again, press escape.
Escape. Taskbar. Volume echo canceling.
I'm going to silence the screen reader. And there you are. I hope this has been helpful for you. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.